With the recent developments for Shin in his fight against Tenkyu, one thing is for certain. Shin has been and always will be a killer. And with Shin finally coming to terms with this and resuming his role as an assassin, he's also taken on the mindset of the man he's worked so tirelessly to stop, namely Uzuki. So what exactly do I mean by the phrase Shin is becoming Uzuki? Obviously, Shin isn't literally becoming Uzuki, but the way his character has changed and the trajectory of his current arc, he's becoming more and more like Uzuki. So today, I figured I'd talk about it. To understand what I mean by saying that Shin is becoming Uzuki, we first have to understand who Uzuki is. This becomes a little more difficult since Uzuki can literally be upwards of 3 people at a time, so we have to narrow it down. The Uzuki that I'm specifically referring to in this video is not the Rion or Takamura personality, obviously, and it isn't super young Uzuki in the flashbacks. Rather, I'm referring to the Uzuki that we frequently see at the beginning of the series and the one present right at the end of his flashback with Rion, the one who talks about sacred justice and creating a new world order. It's not clear if this is another personality or if it's actually just normal Uzuki, but this is the version of the character that I'm referring to in the video. So now that we have that set, let's take a deep dive into his ideals. The Uzuki seen at the beginning of the series is first and foremost a killer. He's responsible for the rapidly declining assassin population and is essentially conducting domestic terrorism against the JA. If you asked him if he was a killer, you'd get a stone-cold yes for an answer. But the interesting part isn't in the fact that he kills, but in why he kills. This version of Uzuki sees morality in killing. While killing an innocent person is widely considered wrong, this version of Uzuki not only sees a higher purpose in killing, but also has justifications for it as well. This is best shown in Kashima's flashback in his fight against Sakamoto. When Kashima kills some random people for picking on a stray cat, he's ridiculed for it. However, Uzuki sees why Kashima did it, saying that on a grander scale and to achieve a more just world, necessary evils exist. Namely, killing is that necessary evil. Uzuki flat out tells Kashima that there are some people in this world that just don't deserve to live, and his actions reflect that. Uzuki is killing so many assassins and creating so much bloodshed because he believes that the JA is a corrupt organization that deserves to be destroyed. His killings may be wrong, but to Uzuki, it's all worth it for the creation of a better world. With this mindset, Uzuki is inherently saying that some lives are worth more than others, and all the lives he's taken are not worth the future that he is trying to create. Furthermore, if we take a look at a young Uzuki towards the end of his flashback with Rion, it's clear that he is on his way to adopting that mindset. Uzuki sees the brutality and corruption of the assassin world and wants no part in it. However, it's through Rion that he begins to see the good in people. More specifically, it's Rion's desire to protect kind people and her willingness to get her hands dirty so that the people around her can stay innocent that speaks to Uzuki. When Rion dies, that ends up being the catalyst for Uzuki to fully adopt his killer mentality. We literally see Uzuki's inner monologue after accidentally killing Rion, where he asks why he and the other corrupt people of the assassin world like Asaki are alive and wonders where the kind people of the world are. Moreover, with Rion's death and Uzuki continuing to stay alive even after his fight with Sakamoto, it cements in Uzuki's mind that he will never be able to leave the assassin world. Asaki says as much, and with the way things turn out, it only further supports his statement. So now that we have a better idea of Uzuki's journey as a character and his mindset, we can take a look at Shin's arc. Shin begins the series as an assassin who is fully willing to kill but quickly adopts Sakamoto's no-kill rule after hearing about the family rules and reading Sakamoto's mind to see the story behind how he got that rule. What this cements for Shin is that there are good people in this world that he wants to protect, and in doing so, he wants to be like them as well. Despite Shin's initial resolve, he is constantly exposed to the ruthlessness of the world he resides in. He might not be willing to kill, but there are plenty of people that are willing to, whether it be because they have to or because they find some sort of pleasure in it. Shin's resolve is tested time and time again against morally corrupt characters that would love nothing more than to kill him, Sakamoto, and everyone else he cares about. But despite this, Shin is able to hold off from killing. He defeats his enemies while abiding by his no-kill rule and proudly upholds the Sakamoto family rules. At least, Shin does this for a time. This now brings us into the most interesting part of Shin's character arc, spurred on by his fight with Tenkyu. After reading Tenkyu's mind for the first time, Shin is appalled by the fact that Tenkyu is willing to kill Hana and Aoi if it meant that he could draw out Sakamoto, but he's willing to give Tenkyu a chance to change. Once he sees Tenkyu choke out Atari, Shin realizes that Tenkyu is a killer to his very core and finally snaps. Shin decides that he's going to become an assassin once more, resolving to abandon his no-kill rule in order to put down Tenkyu for good and protect who he considers to be the good people in his life. He flat out says to himself that there are people in this world that can't be allowed to live before embarking on his fight with Tenkyu. Moreover, as he and Tenkyu talk, Shin says something really interesting. He says that all the people in his life are so good that it's ridiculous, but that it's also why he has to kill Tenkyu. This statement implies that he sees himself as below the other people in his life with regards to morality, believing himself to be morally inferior because he's an assassin that kills, while the other people in his life are morally superior because they see an inherently equal value in the lives of all people, no matter who they are. It's also confirmation that Shin is one of those people willing to get his hands dirty so that the world as a whole can be better, and further expands on Shin's growing belief that certain people's lives are worth less than others, and that Tenkyu's life is definitely worth less than the ones of the people he is trying to protect. With this in mind, it's clear that Shin has undergone a massive mindset shift, going from someone who valued all life equally and as such refused to take it, to becoming his own arbiter of justice, deciding for himself whose life does and does not matter. So, how does this show that Shin is becoming Uzuki? Well, let's start with the obvious. Both Shin and Uzuki state that certain people can't be allowed to live, or some variation of the phrase. This simple sentence speaks volumes about their mentalities, indicating that they both believe that not all life is equal, with some lives being worth more than others. Taking a look at their character arcs, we see that Shin and Uzuki follow very similar paths as well. Both Shin and Uzuki's lives are changed after meeting someone that acts as their moral compass and shows them what it's like to be good. For Shin, that's Sakamoto and his family, who instill the no-kill rule on him and teach him of the inherent value of life. For Uzuki, it's Rion, who shows him what it's like to care for someone and want to protect them. When Rion dies and the lives of Sakamoto and his family are threatened, both Shin and Uzuki snap. They both realize that they'll never actually be able to leave the assassin world, they both resolve to kill, they both view themselves as morally inferior, and they both create a mindset that prioritizes the ends over the means. While I'd argue that Shin definitely isn't as extremist in his views as Uzuki, and his journey hasn't quite been a full copy and paste of Uzuki's, their character arcs share remarkable similarities, and I do believe that if Shin continues down this path, he will eventually become just like Uzuki. Hey guys, just wanted to give a quick update. It's currently around the middle of December by the time I'm uploading this, and I have a lot of college applications and general future planning stuff to do, so I just wanted to let everybody know that I'm probably going to be a little slow with the uploads up until I wrap all of that up. I might have another video before the new year, but don't count on it. I might be gone for a little while, but rest assured I will definitely be back when the anime comes out. Thank you for sticking around, guys.